Oh, fuck. Okay, back at it. Welcome
Why
to...
do I feel like every episode of these is gonna start with you going, "Oh fuck"?
Yeah, oh god. Okay.
Every time. It's gonna be every time.
Welcome to the Discount Podcast where the budget is only matched... Or no, the... I had something for this. Fuck.
The budget
Uh,
of our podcast is only matched by Rooster Teeth's budget for the first 3 seasons of RWBY.
fuck, that's good. That's actually... Oh, man. Oh, no, it was the only thing lower than our budget is our will to live.
Ah, that's a better
There we
tagline.
go. Okay. I knew I had something for that. Okay.
So, Steve, welcome back to the world of Remnant.
Thanks, I hate it.
Once again, we are back at it watching RWBY Volume 2. Once again, we got Steve, Dan, and Krista coming to hang out and talk and probably scream more about RWBY. I apologize for the outbursts I had last time, but they will continue.
No, that was fantastic. That's what we call content in the industry. So, just overall impressions for this season, better, but still a lot of stuff that we how many? Yeah, that's hang on. Yeah, that's notes. Hang on. Okay. Fucking they got more belligerence as the show went on, and but that's why I rewatched a little bit to just get my bearings again. But so, do we want to go chronologically again?
Sure. I mean, that seemed to work. That seemed to work last time, and we had enough to talk about.
Yeah.
So we'll go off of your notes, and we'll talk about it as we go.
Okay. So first thing that happened, two new characters, two new were they both Faunus or?
No, they're not Faunus at all.
Okay, so they're not Faunus. They're just part of the
They're
investigation.
so
Okay.
yeah. Remember how they explain? Well, they explain it later on in the season, but they explain that Roman and the three people we meet here are working with the White Fang. They aren't part of the White Fang. They're working with them.
So they're working for Roman Torch, who is
Well,
working with the
they're
White Fang.
working for Cinder.
All right, the chick whose face we finally get to see.
Yeah. These two work for Cinder. And what happens at the beginning of this season is that these two new characters, Emerald and Mercury, my God, the naming conventions are more more obvious than the naming conventions in Dragon Ball, aren't they?
See, Dan, they gotta name them after colors because of the art war. We'll come to that later. That was stupid. That pissed me off a little bit.
Well, it's not even that. Is that Mercury's name is Mercury Black, and his color scheme is Mercury Gray and Black, and Emerald's
Subtlety.
color scheme is green, and her name is Emerald.
Yeah.
So.
Also, just like this may be skipping around, but like the first scene is the two of them, they go to a bookstore to basically apprehend a dude who's attempting to leave the White Fang and run away to another country.
Yep.
And so this was not immediately like apparent because RWBY is very hesitant to show damage being done to anybody. But apparently when the dude with like shotgun feet kicked him in the face, he fucking killed him.
Oh yeah, no, Steve. Mercury straight up murked him.
I know you're proud. You shouldn't be proud of that, but you are.
I'm a little proud of that one.
Yeah. With fucking
he shotgun kicked him right in the face, and we didn't get to see his head get blown off, but I'm guessing his head got blown off.
Yeah, and what it's like the nitpick I have about that is that like RWBY has yet to show up until that point. There's no sign of anybody actually getting hurt by these fights, and yet they kind of like, so when he kicked him in the face, my thought was like, okay, they're just gonna capture him and maybe bring him back for like re-education or something, but the fact that they just murked him wasn't obvious, and they had to reinvigorate or what's the word? They had to restate later that yes, we in fact killed a man, and we have to say this because we're not allowed to kill people on screen apparently.
I mean, yeah. Well, again, that would require creating a whole other model.
Yeah, it's fucking.
That would require creating a headless model.
I don't know. That's just that was a nitpick. What happened after that?
Well, after that, they go back to base, quote unquote. They go back to that warehouse that. Did they do that this season? Yeah, they did the investigation this season.
Mm-hmm.
They go to a warehouse where Roman and Cinder are, and There's a great joke in this scene
Oh, yeah.
where the two of them are chewing out Roman because Roman was supposed to take care of the Panther guy who was going to run away to another country. He puts his arms around them and goes, "This is just like the divorce."
Yeah, I think
God,
this is
Roman
where
was-
Roman really shines. I fucking love him in like volume 2 and 3.
He was fucking wasted in this show.
Oh, man.
He was too good for this world.
Right.
But yeah, then after that we get to meet Cinder finally. And Steve, do you want to give your opinions on Cinder right now, or at least what you think of her now that we've gotten to know her a little bit more, quote unquote?
Like most things in this show, I think I'd like her because she hasn't been around that long. They haven't had a chance to fuck her up yet. But the thing that shocked me because the fact you said the voice actor was Jessica Negri,
Yep.
and immediately I was like, the voice actress is really pulling off the whole like smooth, seductive, like I know more than you think. It's like she pulled it off
that's
really
kind
well.
of that's kind of her job in real life, though, ain't it?
Yeah, props to her. She's doing what she's good at. But I don't know. As a character, I think I was very confused by her age because I kind of saw her, just one, the way she was dressed, and two, kind of just her mannerisms, was that I thought of her as more akin to like Glenda Goodwich's age, but no, apparently she is young enough to pass as a student.
Yeah, she's young enough she's at least, she has enough young features to pass as a high school student.
And that made me wonder, is she actually high school age, or is she just have baby face going on?
The thing is we're never told. We have no concept of, even using future knowledge, up to this point, we don't know that much about Cinder.
Okay, supposedly, at least according to the wiki, the most people have narrowed it down is, quote, early-mid-20s.
Yeah, the blanket age for most anime characters, somewhere between the ages of 16 and 25.
So she is somewhere between the age of 20 and 25.
Okay.
The point is they don't give us enough context with Cinder to understand who she is or where she comes from.
Yeah, that's true. So at least they're leaving it open for the moment. Anyway, so Cinder, still middle of the road right now. We'll see what she does later. She's at least being slightly intriguing. But back to the chronological. So after that, then they go to the cafeteria, where they establish there's going to be a tournament coming up, and
correct.
Everyone wants to like relax before then, get the fun out of the way. And then the food fight happens, and it was...
Well, first, before we get to the food fight, we have to meet another new character. They introduce a lot of new characters right at the start of this season. Yeah, we get to meet... we've met Sun already. Now we get to meet one of his teammates. We see the other two in the background, but it's kind of a blink if you miss it scene. We get to meet his best buddy, Neptune.
Which I'm mixed about, but...
You hated him.
It's like... I don't know, because they really wanted to, and again, this is skipping ahead, when they kind of culminate his character at the dance, but I feel like they really wanted to commit to the whole cool guy being, it's like, the cool guy's insecure too. It's like, we're all the same on the inside. But it's like, I never really thought Neptune was cool. I always saw him... And I never got... Apparently, then John said that, I think you're so cool. How could you not know how to dance? I never thought Neptune was cool. I always thought he was a loser pretending to be cool. But apparently, everyone in the show just thinks he's the bee's knees. And
you know
I think
what I
that
found out
irritated me.
when I checked his wiki page?
What?
You know how we discovered that... Or rather, like, most people who watch the show know that John is voiced by one of the writers.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The other writer voices Neptune.
Oh!
No.
All right.
God damn it.
All right.
I didn't even know that until
Neither did I.
started delving into the wiki pages for like images, and I'm like, oh, that explains a lot.
Makes so much sense.
I've been watching this show since the beginning, and I didn't know that.
God.
Well, at least since season 3, I didn't know that because the only one anyone ever talks about is the fact that Jean is voiced by one of the writers. Nobody ever.
John
brings
is also a bigger character than Neptune is.
That's true.
Thank
God.
Like
Neptune is pretty much a side character.
to go off of that though, Steve, as to why everyone thinks Neptune is so cool. I mean, everyone else in this show is a fucking loser. Like,
they hated him because he spoke the truth.
well, like Jean, the only ones who you can classify as like being in the upper echelon of like society cliques would be like Pyrrha.
Yeah.
Because Pyrrha's a star athlete. Weiss, because she's fucking rich, but when we learn more about her, kind of not really. But out of the main cast, Ruby's 2 years younger than everybody else, so she's already going to have less social standing and already be kind of like looked down upon. Not to say that that's right, but that's just what would happen. Blake is a fucking terrorist who's hiding her identity. So she's obviously not going to have any sort of concept of popularity or social cliques.
Right.
Nora and Ren are just kind of there. Yang we saw in season 1 have friends, but we've never seen them again, so I don't know where they went. Did they just abandon?
Them, they go to another school.
Yeah, did they all just abandon Yang after realizing that she's on a team with her younger sister, and now Yang is stuck with these 3 assholes? And then there's Jean, who's literally the bottom of the totem pole.
Oh my god, Neptune is the coolest guy in the show.
Yes, Steve.
Oh, but they...
Out of the male characters, Neptune is probably the coolest.
You're forgetting about Roman, obviously.
No, well, the male students.
Yeah.
Okay.
If Roman went to high school at the same time as it wouldn't be a contest. They'd all be they'd be licking his boots.
They'd be sucking his dick.
They'd be...
Roman definitely was Alex from A Clockwork Orange in high school. He definitely had an army of droogs.
Roman is the guy who doesn't bully people. He has other people to bully people for him.
He condescends people.
Oh, man.
Yeah, because the only other competition Neptune has for, like, coolest male student that we've seen are Sun, who... He's a pretty chill dude. I like Sun the best. He's like my favorite male character out of all of them so far.
He also shines more in some of the volumes we have yet to get to.
Well, even of what we've seen. His fight with Roman in Volume 1 was hype as fuck.
Yeah, Sun is growing on me just because he is kind of... He just seems real. He's just genuinely happy to be there.
Yes,
and I can.
He is very much just happy to be there. You have Sun, Neptune, Cardin, and Cardin's friends, and Jean, and Ren.
Yeah, speaking of Ren, after that whole conversation, then the food fight starts happening, and this was just, I don't know if they intentionally did this, but they basically hammered home the fact that Nora is a fucking psycho and will actually commit murder if you ask her to. Because it's supposedly like it starts off as a food fight where like everyone's using food that's kind of in sort of a semi-replacement for their regular weapons. Like Yang has the chicken fists, then Vice is using ketchup as magic, and then Nora. Swordfish. Yeah, then the swordfish too. But like that's almost in response to what Nora did, because Nora starts off throwing watermelons, then she just gets a lead pipe. And just starts wailing on people.
Well, she sticks the lead pipe into a watermelon to simulate her hammer.
That doesn't make it better. That is a weapon. They're using bread, Dan.
They are using bread. They're using bread and leeks and ketchup.
And Nora has a lead pipe with a watermelon.
Nora would be the chick who like would freeze her water balloons overnight, the night before the school picnic.
Well, she did end up throwing soda cans at people, and that's a hate crime in some places.
How is throwing soda cans a hate crime?
Let's not get into that. Steve. That gets into some dark shit.
Oh, fuck. Well, anyway, Pyrrha uses. Yeah, you're right. Pyrrha kind of cheats.
Yeah, so Magneto, they all start using their semblances in this fight. Now, oddly enough, RWBY does not really get a food weapon in this fight. At least not to my knowledge. She doesn't really get a replacement scythe made of food in this fight. So what RWBY's doing is that she's kind of surfing along the tables on a lunch tray, and like uses it to like launch at Pyrrha, but Pyrrha's a metal. She has Magneto's power. So what the fuck was that? What was your plan, RWBY? But bear in mind, RWBY does not throw a single punch in this fight.
And she somehow wins.
Yes, she doesn't throw a single punch in this fight, but uses her super speed to like throw all of Team Juniper at the wall, and all of the food come and smacks them as they get peeled off the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But this is actually important for later, so keep this in your back pockets that Ruby does not throw a single punch in the fight with where she doesn't have access to her weapon.
And we're gonna come back to that.
Oh, we will, and it pissed you off heavily, but
It really
there was
did.
an explanation.
It wasn't a good explanation, but anyway. There was the, and then Glenda Goodwitch comes in, and I don't actually know if she's just super strong or if her magical power is exclusively organization.
She's the most OCD huntress on the face of the planet.
I swear to God, it's like everyone's fucking grandmother who's like, tuck in your shirt, but she turned that into a superpower.
Yeah, kind of. Her powers are so omnipresent, it's really bizarre. Like, what are her limits?
Is it just like telekinesis, or is it the fact that she was able to put all the food back on the table perfectly in order and without even it was effortless for her. She just flicked her wrist and then everything was just back to normal. I assume they'll explain later, but they're visually giving us a lot of different things where it's at this point it's I don't know what she does, I just know that she can do things.
Yep. I mean, the name Good Witch, it goes back to the whole Wizard of Oz metaphor, so it is implied that like she has magic powers.
Mm-hmm.
Not actual magic powers, that comes later.
Oh god. But
yeah, because Ruby is a little bit weird about like dust isn't magic, semblances aren't magic. Magic
magic-
isn't
Literally
real, right?
magic,
Tough,
though.
tough.
No,
Yeah.
that's the thing, Steve. Magic comes in later.
It'll pop into significance in volume 3.
So what is this shit that we have now? Science?
Dust is like a natural resource that has like these explosive properties. To be fair, that I don't mind as much. It's the semblances I have a problem with, because the semblances, how the fuck does a semblance work? They're all mutants from X-Men.
Yeah, it's the whole. So there's no magic, but everyone just has a protective shield around them at all times, and also they can be super fast and literally control magnetism.
Yeah, it wasn't
Yes.
the best explained thing. I think the idea might have been like semblances or superpowers, but magic is like a separate concept, but they don't it's hard when you already have that much like strange and like, that kind of shit happening. It's hard to just look at your audience square in the eyes and say that's not magic.
Fucking,
All right.
Oh yeah. So
What
the
you got
scene-
there? A semblance.
Yeah. Oh god. Fuck me.
There
But,
we go. We got there.
After that, Dan, you got really excited when the General Boy came on screen.
Ah, yes, Ironwood. General James Ironwood, a man who, for those who keep up with RWBY or at least have watched through what's been happening, this man is one of the few characters who carries the entire show on the weight of his shoulders and does a superb job of it.
Everyone simps for Daddy Ironwood. At least when you get to like volume 7.
Oh god.
Oh yeah.
Everyone simps for Daddy Ironwood.
So, General Ironwood is one of the leaders of Atlas. Atlas is one of the 4 kingdoms. Beacon is the school in the Kingdom of Vale. Atlas is the kingdom to the north. It is also the kingdom where Weiss is from.
Okay. And
Yeah.
actually one thing in his introduction, because they mentioned that like I think he had a throwaway line where he said, headmasters don't usually accompany their students to the tournaments. It's like, so are they sending all of their students, or are they just sending a specific group of students to the tournament?
We're not sure. It is never explained because that would require making like models for hundreds of people, and we don't get hundreds of characters in Volume 3. We get a good handful though.
See, but I almost it makes me wonder because I don't even think that's a budgetary thing. I think it's just they forgot or they just didn't think about it. It's like I would think that if he's sending just a subset of his students to the tournaments, I would possibly understand like headmasters don't usually they stay back and take care of the other students, but if they're sending all their students and they're all in the combat classes to fight the other schools of the tournament, why would the headmaster not go?
Well, so this is where things get weird because on the one hand, I've seen the argument that the Vital Festival is really meant for like the first years Like the tournament is for the first years or something like that. Like maybe every year they alternate which year of students go in and compete in the tournament.
Okay,
They
that makes
actually,
sense.
I can correct that because I started like watching a little bit of Volume 3 just because after we watched Volume 2, I was in the mood for it. And that volume does explain that in regards to the tournament, all years are allowed to participate. The only thing that like obviously older students would have an advantage, but the idea is that what gets you through the tournament is purely based on skill.
Okay.
But we know that's bullshit because the only upperclassmen we ever see are Team Coffee.
Yeah. I think it's mostly just because like our main characters are first years essentially,
Yes.
and
But
they didn't really
yeah.
think ahead to like, oh, it would make sense for the seniors to be the ones who are mostly represented in this festival. But
Yeah, it's a cool, like Volume 3 is still my favorite, and again, we'll talk about it more when we get there. But the Vital Festival probably could have used a few more rewrites in just how the tournament was structured.
Because the first thing that came to me when he said, headmasters don't usually come with their students is like in Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire, when all like the schools came to Hogwarts for the Triwizard Tournament, the headmasters came with them.
Yes, they did.
Which is, I would think, would be the norm. I don't know. It's the I'm obviously spending too much time on this, but it's just another one of those moments in RWBY's world building where I keep seeing cracks and little shit where the writing isn't as tight. Nitpicky bastards like me just go, but why though? And the more I'm asking why, the more I'm not really enjoying the show. I don't know.
Yeah.
Fucking.
Well, that's completely understandable because that is kind of a question that you have to bring up. Because if headmasters don't go, like you're right, you know, how many students do they send? They don't give the specifics. They don't give enough specifics in the actual episodes to let you piece everything together. There is side material to RWBY, but I have always said, this has always been my philosophy. This goes for adaptations, and this goes for any kind of show. If you need to read the supplemental material to understand the story, you have failed as a storyteller.
Absolutely. That was the whole controversy with Destiny, where people were like, "Oh, the story's good if you go and read all the stuff they have online." I don't want to stop playing the video game to go and read shit so I can understand the story of the video game I'm playing.
Correct.
It's the same shit with RWBY. To put it simply, what you said is that supplemental material cannot make up for the weakness of the main show.
Correct. Supplemental material can make things clearer. They can define things better, but you still need to give enough information in the actual like main story so that people understand what's going on.
Correct.
And if you leave things out and leave it only for the supplemental material to explain, you're not doing a good job in writing a story, because not everyone's going to read or watch all of the supplemental material.
Yeah.
And two, your main focus should be on writing a good story first, not making it a cash cow.
Because the whole thing with supplemental materials that I often see, it's a good way, if it's used correctly, it's a great way to add more life into the universe. Like a good example is Star Wars. People say that like the main movies aren't even the best Star Wars has to offer. It's the best stuff Star Wars has is in the expanded universe and all of these supplemental materials. So that's one way that you could make the argument, but I don't think RWBY has a vast enough universe, at least at this point, to really be able to rely on that. And at the same time, with smaller universes like this, supplemental materials, if used wrong, can almost be used as a way to retcon plot points to make it seem like the writers knew what they were doing. Makes the writers seem like they had the story planned out, when in fact they were just making shit up as they go. But then the supplemental materials ties it all together. It's like, see, we had a plan all along. We just didn't put it in the main show because fuck you.
But like the thing, like to go back to Star Wars for a second, let's ignore 7, 8, and 9 because we know that was a fucking train wreck of storytelling, and we don't. That's another podcast.
Yeah, that's another.
That's a whole podcast. But the point is, as bad as episodes 1, 2, and 3 are, they at least give you enough context in the story to know what the hell is going on that leads into episodes 4, 5, and 6. There is the context there. It's just that the supplemental materials of like the Clone Wars TV show and all that goes into the finer details and makes the broad story that the movies present a much more personalized story about like very specific characters, and makes the universe bigger and more rich. RWBY's supplemental material is trying to do the basic world building in supplemental material.
That was the one good thing Star Wars did, was that it had world building elements in the movies, and then the supplemental material expanded on that. RWBY's base world building, I'm still asking questions about, which actually segues nicely into the next part, because I was actually wondering what kind of police force this whole world had when there's apparently robberies of dust shops going on every other night that nobody seems to be able to know what the fuck to do about. And then we come upon the dudes selling security robots in the town square.
Well, okay, so that's again General Ironwood, and he's promoting Atlas's new, basically robotic soldiers. The Elysian Knights. Now, it's never really explained as to if the Elysian Knights are going to be distributed throughout the world, or if which they have to be, because they're explaining it in Vale. So it would be logical that these Elysian Knights would be distributed throughout the four kingdoms if he's advertising them.
Because he's from another country, right?
Yeah, he's one of the leaders of Atlas.
Okay, and because it almost seemed that because they keep criticizing him for having this big show of military might. I wasn't sure if he was part of like the world military, or if this was just him like showing, look how great my nation is. But
no, that's just the Atlas military. I believe he would have to be just like. The Elysian Knights would have to be distributed. Otherwise, why would he be advertising them where he is?
Yeah, and it made because I couldn't tell if it was a sales pitch. It seemed more like a PR thing. Also, speaking of salesmanship, having the new model literally kick the old model out of the way was fucking brilliant. Absolutely loved it. But yeah, I couldn't tell if they were peacekeepers or if they were like
He
to
says
me,
soldiers.
Okay,
he does say soldiers.
That's right, he did. It did seem more like it was a PR thing, like, these soldiers are here to protect you, so don't go running from them and shit like that. Then they actually did a really good, because this is when RWBY was talking with
Penny.
That was
So if we were to back it up a little bit, before we get to this scene, the girls, the four girls, the four main characters, are still on the lookout for Roman Torchwick. So after they had defeated Roman in the warehouse scene in the finale of season 1, they lost track of Penny, and on their mind after the whole food fight thing, trying to track down Roman and the White Fang is still one of their top priorities. So they decide they're gonna go against school regulations and go hunt this guy down on their own. They're gonna take the initiative, much to Weiss's chagrin, saying they're still students. Which, to be fair, they are first-year students. It's not even like they're like halfway through their education and they have really good training.
Yeah.
No,
they're
they're freshmen.
When Weiss is the voice of reason, you have fucked up. You have a bad idea that you are doing.
But she gets outvoted.
Democracy.
I love democracy. But they get spotted by our good boy's son, who dragged Neptune up to, I don't know, like the 5th story window ledge. How did he get up there?
Everyone's just, this whole series is filled with people who can just climb buildings inexplicably.
Did he Dracula climb up like Cardin did? But yeah. They get in on the plan, and Weiss is really hitting on Neptune this entire season.
Yeah, because he's cool.
She wants
Which hurts more knowing that Neptune is another writer self-insert.
Oh my, yeah, that does hurt.
Oh my god, you're right.
Wait, do both of the writers just want to fuck Weiss? What the hell?
Oh my god, you're right. They're fighting over Weiss.
This adds a whole new layer of like weirdness that we might need to like wholesale stop and talk about, because is anybody else aware of like the Powerpuff Girls reboot from like 2016?
Yeah, I know what you're referencing.
Yeah, it was like when one of the writers inserted himself to hit on Blossom in Powerpuff Girls.
Oh.
Which is worse than this.
It's worse than this because Blossom is in kindergarten.
Blossom is a child. But still, this is really weird.
It is odd.
Both of the writers are voicing characters who one is desperately trying to sleep with Weiss, and the other one is like like it's Edward and Jacob all over again, and
Oh
I
my
don't want to
God.
think about that.
Weiss would be Bella.
Yeah.
Fuck. Just a stupid airhead who has everything good in her life fall into her lap. Fuck Bella.
Yeah, that's again another
That's a whole
podcast.
other.
Write it down. Write it down. We'll get a
Write that
clipboard.
down.
Yeah, write that down. Write that down. We'll get a clipboard. So
I don't think my whole thing is that I think that is it could have just been a coincidence, and maybe like again if you go back to everything in the show is just budgetary constraints if you want it to be, but I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt that maybe because of budgetary constraints they couldn't hire that many voice actors at the beginning, and so they had to voice two of the main characters. And then maybe the plot just happened to coincide with the two of them also being the coolest guys in the show and going after it. It could all just be a coincidence, but it is weird.
yeah, it's weird because one of them is the quote-unquote coolest character in the show, and then the other is the self-insert character who like is the everyman. You know, the character that actually is supposed to go on the hero's journey.
Yeah, fucking
Is a writer self-insert, so I don't fucking know, my dude. But yeah, so they split up into 4 teams. No, 3 teams actually. It's Blake and Sun who go to a White Fang meeting because they're both Faunus.
Yeah, there's Weiss and RWBY.
Who are going to go to the CCTV, which is the Central Control Tower, the Central Communications Tower.
And then Yang
and Neptune.
Yes.
Who end up going to Junior's bar again, the same club that we saw in the Yellow trailer.
Continuity. Also, I had a note that just said Weiss's elbows.
Oh yeah.
You guys remember that scene?
Yeah. So we'll talk. I guess we'll talk about the first adventure that kind of happens, which is Ruby and Weiss. So Ruby and Weiss go. They explain the control tower, the Central Communications Tower, which is basically Atlas built these control towers in the 4 kingdoms so that the 4 kingdoms could essentially communicate. It's like giant cell towers, basically. And because Weiss is a Schnee, and Schnees are essentially like the economic royalty of Atlas, she has access to be able to get documents about the dust shop robberies. So that's where her and Ruby were going to go. Except Ruby has an ADHD moment, and Penny shows up again. After not having... It's explained that it has been months, or at least a couple months, since Volume 1.
And Penny just shows up.
Yeah, she was gone, and then she just shows up again. So Ruby goes off with Penny, again, to Weiss's frustration. God, the frustration in Weiss's eyes are palpable, and it's good. Like, I relate to that.
Weiss deserves to experience some diversity.
So Weiss goes up to the tower and gets the information with little hardship, mind you, even though those were called classified documents. She gets away with getting them by saying it's for a school project.
Madam, this has government secrets on the hard drive. Where did you get this? It's for a school project, Mildred. If you could just send it back over, that'd be great. God.
That's when we get the scene where Ruby and Penny see Ironwood promoting the new models of Atlesian soldiers.
Yeah, and then I think what happened was then the soldiers saw Penny, and then they started chasing.
Because Penny is not supposed to be out and about.
No. And this was actually a really cool... this is my first time where I said props to Ruby, because basically she like stops a truck with her fists, and then because her skin gets peeled off her knuckles and you see it's metal underneath, it's like, oh shit, that was way better than way better than I expected. I expected her to just come out and say like, why were they chasing you? It's like, because Ruby, I'm actually the Terminator. It's like that's what I was expecting.
This does retroactively explain a problem you had with Volume 1 where you said Penny destroys the power curve.
Yes.
Well, she's a Terminator, so...
Yeah, and then my whole thing is that they also this is what they fucked up here, because Penny has an aura.
Yes.
And their whole thing is that basically she's like this machine with an aura, which means she has a soul. And my whole thing was that this actually could have been a really good way to introduce some conflict, because you could have been like this. The fact that she's a machine in and of itself asks the question: if she's a machine and she's this fucking overpowered, what is even the point of training up new soldiers to fight when we can just have machines go out and fight for us? But the fact that they gave her an aura basically makes her the exact. She's basically just, she's the same as everyone else, but it's just, I am a machine. It doesn't really, they don't do anything with the fact that she's a machine. She is functionally a human being, but they just call her a machine. And I think if they had just said, fuck the aura, because now they're already saying, like, oh, Penny definitely has a soul, so we should definitely feel bad for her. What if they had gone with the route where she doesn't have an aura, but just by base of her being a mechanical beast, that she is stronger than a lot of other people who have auras, and then you could have also had the thing where people are like, we don't have to treat Penny with any respect because she's just a machine without a soul. And we could have had this interesting plot point where it's like, no, Penny does have a soul. It's like it's a tired thing where it's like in sci-fi where it's like, does the machine have a soul? It is a trope, but it's a thing that you can have a conversation with. But the fact that they just gave her an aura, they just throw that whole thing out the window. It's like, yes, she does have a soul, and anyone wanting to do things to her just because she's a machine is being an asshole. They throw any ambiguity that could have been brought up from this plot revelation. Christ. From this plot revelation. And they basically threw it away. I wished, I don't know. They could have done so much more with it. It just feels like a wasted opportunity to me.
Yes and no, because the thing is, everything in RWBY is based off of, at least at the start, everything is based off of a story. Like it's adapting a different story, like how all of the teachers are members of the Wizard of Oz cast. So like again, who do you think Ironwood represents?
When you tell me, I'm gonna slap myself, but I'm drawing a blank.
It's Wizard. He's part of the Wizard of Oz thing.
Oh, the fucking Tin Man.
He's the Tin Man, yes. So we have Ozpin, we have Glinda Goodwitch, we have Ironwood, who's the Tin Man. Penny is meant to represent Pinocchio, right? The machine brought to life and turned into a real girl. So, in a sense, I agree that it could have been a much more interesting story. It is meant to be an adaptation of an already existing property and put into this world. And to an extent, it does make sense as to why you would want to at least try to do this. Because again, we have done crazy science experiments in the real world just to see if we could do it.
Yeah.
So why, like, they already have the Elysian robots, but we see later that they suck balls when it comes to is compared to actual huntsmen and huntresses.
Yeah.
So why not try to give a robot a soul that has a superpower? Because I think semblances are tied to the aura and the soul.
Yeah, and part of me is also kind of wondering, because they could also go in the direction where we gave a machine a soul. Does that give us the obligation to treat it more like a creature with free will? And I guess that's another... It's not the plot point I would have chosen, so I guess maybe that's why I'm criticizing more harshly, but I think it's also that I don't know if RWBY is smart enough to actually ask that question, or if they're just using it as a shorthand for, yes, there is no ambiguity, Penny is a soul human being, and anyone trying to control her is absolutely a bad guy because she has a soul. I don't know, my whole thing is that I don't... Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I hope I'm proved wrong. But I do not trust the writers to actually do anything interesting with this idea.
Well, I guess we'll have to see when we watch the next couple seasons.
Yeah, I hope I'm proven wrong, but at this point, I do not have high hopes for that. And
now, is that just you don't have high hopes for the story, or you don't like Penny as a character? Because there is a difference.
I am a huge fan of the whole exploration of whether or not like AI actually does have sentience, and whether you have... like there's the whole question of when AI becomes advanced enough, do we have to give it human rights because it's close enough to a human that we can't differentiate it? And that is an interesting conversation to have. So I don't dislike Penny as a character, but I think I'm more frustrated with the fact it was the same thing with the whole civil rights thing they have going on between the Faunus and the other citizens, and the humans, and it's like it's that these are all things that you can use to tell a really interesting story and to pose questions that have ramifications in real life. I do not think that the writers at RWBY are proficient enough to adequately explore these avenues of thought. So I hope I'm proven wrong, but from what they've shown, they're very and again, I don't know the writing experience of people who wrote this, but it does smack of people who are just getting into write. Like, obviously their expertise is fight animation, but it seems like people who have never written a story before are just getting into the process of learning how to write a code. Because writing a whole story with a big world and world building and power dynamic, it's fucking hard.
It's very hard. Steve, you and I have both Steve, Krista, and I have all created worlds. We're all working on our own individual worlds, whether it be for novels, whether it be for tabletop RPG settings, whether it be for a mix of the two. It is hard to do world building, and it is hard to do world building correctly. So I do not fault the writers, and especially not the creator, for attempting this.
Oh, no.
Like, this was an ambitious project to try to make a world from the ground up with its own rules and things like that. Where I find fault with it is where they can't recognize their own failings, and instead of like trying to fix it within the actual story, they do try that a little bit. They end up creating more problems than it's worth, and it's problems that they create for themselves.
Yeah, because I think world building is sort of it's one of those things where it's a whole bunch of moving pieces, and if one of the pieces gets pushed, if it's all moving like it should, you'll never notice it. And even if the little things don't entirely add up, or if like there are certain things that don't, like, I would say a good thing is a good example is Madoka Magica, because the fights in that show are very much, I would say they're almost more symbolic than actual fights. And because of that, we don't really need to know the ins and outs. We just need to know the approximate power levels, where it's like, this one is stronger than this one at this point. This girl is stronger than this monster is going to fuck you up. We just need to know the approximate power levels, and then they make the fights so stylish that any questions I really have about the specifics just get warped under the rug, or swept under the rug, because it's not what's important. I guess that ties back to RWBY, which is that I don't think RWBY knows, as far as its world building, and this goes back to its whole power dynamics and power creep and all that shit, I don't think RWBY knows what the whole point of its world is based around.
I could probably agree to that. So then after we get the whole conversation with Penny being a robot, we move to Yang and Neptune next. I think it's those two next. So they go to Junior's nightclub on Yang's motorcycle. So she has been here before. The minute she walks in the fucking door, they all just train guns on her. They're just like, fuck this broad, not again.
God.
But Junior steps in, he calms him down, and they go to talk. What they're interested in is that in the yellow trailer, we see Roman in the background talking to Junior at one point. And the only information Yang is able to get out of Junior is that Roman paid up front, asked for guys for essentially like protection, and the guys never came back. Assumedly because they were either caught by the police or RWBY cut them in half in episode 1. Because those were the robbers in episode 1, and RWBY fucking like hit them with her scythe over and over again.
And again, I'm like, did they die? Were they arrested?
They just never came back, Steve.
That's what the dude says, but what does that mean?
It means they might have died.
I feel like we're supposed to assume arrested because Ruby's the good protag who isn't supposed to kill people.
Yeah. Wouldn't that have been a dank twist, though?
If she fucking killed those
she
guys.
just killed them all. And then her sister's like, the police show up and they're like, we're looking for your sister RWBY on account of 36 degrees of second-degree murder. And Yang's just like, what the fuck, RWBY?
But yeah, they don't really get much out of them, but we do get some information when it comes to Blake and Sun's mini adventure.
Yeah, that was when you finally cemented that Roman Torch is probably my favorite just dude right now. The dude is remaining in a solid S tier right now, or not S tier, A tier for me right now. Just because he's so smooth and confident. He's a good villain.
Yes, he's very fun to watch on screen. And even if his motivations are a little lacking,
Mm-hmm.
again, we learn a little bit more later, as I said in part 1 of this, but you don't learn everything about him. But I can forgive that if you're a fun villain to watch on screen.
Exactly.
And he is very fun to watch on screen. So the two of them go to this White Faunus, or to the White Fang meeting. White Faunus, Jesus Christ. That would God, could you imagine? Could you imagine if that was
African faunus?
Oh, God.
Oh god.
Anyway, they go to the White Fang meeting, and they put on the masks that we saw Adam wearing earlier, right? Adam, the guy who was on the train, the guy who was working with Blake at one point.
Right.
And Blake explains that the reason why they wear the masks is because humans have made monsters out of the faunus, so they're going to go with the angle of, all right, they turned us into monsters, we're going to be the monsters they make us out to be.
Which is
and
kind
where
of cool.
these it is, I do kind of like that concept. It's not really explored. They go to this meeting, and the White Fang learns that Roman Torchwick is a spokesperson for them currently, getting tons of booze at the stage because he's a human. But Roman gives a very, very stellar line of, yeah, I agree, humans are garbage. Case in point, as he points to himself.
It's funny because he's an asshole and he fully knows it.
Oh yeah.
Oh god.
Absolutely.
He knows he's a horrible man.
Yeah.
And this is where we get two reveals. One, we get the semi-reveal in the background. We see another new character, a girl with pink and chocolate brown hair with a parasol in the background, wearing a similar outfit to Roman. Yeah. We see her in the background, and then it is also revealed that Roman has stolen the mech suits that were revealed by General Ironwood earlier in the season.
Now, see, I was very happy up until the moment this scene ended, because they did the thing where back when the government was showing off their cool new soldier robots, and then they showed a hologram of one, and they're like, this thing is so badass as fuck, we can't even bring it out in public, but here's what it looks like, it'll fuck you up proper. And I was like, wow, don't want to be on the receiving end of that. And then the villains have one, and I was like, oh shit, stakes, finally. But then
once they get found out that the two who it was such a weird thing. Like, the two people who fought Roman Torchwick went to the meeting where Roman Torchwick was and expected not to be spotted.
And then he just sees them. He's like, wait a second, those two wearing the same clothes that they fought me in. And even changed their outfits. The dude's I guess if you got abs like Wukong, obviously you can't ever wear a closed shirt. But I don't know, Blake could have worn something purple. Maybe changed her aesthetic a little bit.
But yeah, they get discovered. It's very obvious that they are the two people who Roman Torchwick fought in a shipping yard.
Yep.
They run out of the building, and it's immediately revealed that Roman Torchwick can pilot the mech suit. Yeah, you didn't like this scene, did you?
So this is why I didn't. And the whole preceding fight, yeah,
it's a fight.
Reseeding, yeah, the fight that came after that whole thing, which was, again, it was baller as fuck, and it looked cool, but narratively, it destroyed any sense of stakes that I might have had for basically, up until the robot was actually revealed, they were hyping up this robot with the government dudes like, this thing is the latest model, it'll fuck people up, it's gonna take on the Grimm single-handedly. Then the villains reveal they have one. I don't know if they have more in storage or anything, but at the very least they're showing that one of these robots is incredibly fucking powerful, and the dude says, this is what we're going to use. I assume he's got more either on the way or hidden in the back somewhere, but he's like, this is the robot that we are going to use to basically have the upbringing of the faunus, and this is what we're going to use to fight for our rights and fuck up humanity. And then 4 first-year students are able to handily defeat it without any trouble at all. It's like, obviously
six if you count the contributions of Neptune and Sun, which actually in the lead up to this fight, as they're kind of on the car chase, because Yang has her motorcycle that she's chasing it down with, and Blake and Sun are like rushing through traffic. We get to see two things. We get to see Sun's semblance, which is where he claps his hands and does the Wukong thing where he makes shadow clones of himself.
Well, light clones.
Shadow clone jutsu.
I'm just specifying light clones because they deliberately designed that to like contrast with Blake's shadow clones.
Yeah.
Yes,
In the story.
Yes.
But...
So keep this in mind for later, Steve, is that Blake and Sun have perfectly complementary semblances.
They gonna fuck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh god, I forgot about the gay.
Oh yeah, that's right. One of the only things Steve actually knows about RWBY is that the gay pervades.
Oh man, everyone's gay.
Everyone
Love it.
gay.
Love it.
Because Tumblr wrote the show after season 4.
Christ. Fucking my whole the whole thing that I had that problem with the robot fight was that you build up this incredibly, at this point it's the most intriguing danger to the characters I've seen in this show so far. And they're basically saying that this robot is something dangerous. It's gonna revolutionize how we start fighting things, and it's gonna allow us to actually stand up against the humans and the hunters who are going to inevitably oppose us. And then it just gets destroyed by first-year students handily, with no injuries were sustained throughout the entire fight. So immediately you've taken this thing that you've built up as a great threat, and then within the following scene, you immediately show that it's not a threat at all. So I would have loved if at the end of that, like, I wouldn't even be upset that they won that fight, but I would have liked to see at least some, like, injuries afterwards. Maybe if Weiss got fucked up, or one of them got, like, knocked unconscious or put in a coma or some shit, or even, God forbid, one of them die. But just anything to show this actually would have been a really cool moment to kill off Neptune. I think it would have been, because I honestly think so, because that was partially what I was wondering. It was like, if they're gonna kill somebody off, it's gonna be here. Was that they could show with that they introduced Neptune. Obviously, they wouldn't do that because the writer is voicing him. But no, if they had shown Neptune, it's like, I'm this cool guy. It's like, I'm all good. It's like, I'm going to show my skills in battle to the girls. And then he just gets murked. All of a sudden, the stakes are raised. We realize, holy shit, RWBY is a show where people can die, and we actually have to worry whether or not the characters are going to come out alive. And then the girls came together and then destroyed the robots, but then they also got injured in the process. And I feel like that would have been a really cool way to just maintain. It's basically a way of building stakes. RWBY seems fundamentally opposed as a show to having any semblance of danger to the characters. I am never one. And then partially that robot scene is why, skipping ahead a little bit, at the end when RWBY gets captured, I was never once in any fear that anything bad was going to happen to any of the characters at all.
Oh, that's completely understandable, and it's a problem that pervades even in the later seasons. It's even worse to the fact that you realize that Yang takes no damage despite being punched through concrete.
Yeah, they want us to think these fights are dangerous, and yet they're totally unwilling to actually cause any injury to anybody, which is fine. If you want to make a show like that, that's fine. It's like dumb fun and shit like that. That's totally cool, but RWBY's also setting it up as to be this whole big underground conspiracy. Like, they're setting it off to be a serious show that wants to be taken at least somewhat seriously for its plot, but they don't actually have the balls to. You have to fuck up your characters. If you're gonna make a fight anime, people have to get hurt, because otherwise the fights have no. I'm gonna keep saying it like it's broken record, stakes. I don't have a reason to be afraid. Therefore, there's no tension. And tension is where shows like this derive most of their entertainment value.
Well,
yeah, I think part of the issue is the concept of aura itself. Like, it was invented to be something that lets your characters hit each other for cool fights. But the downside of having essentially like a buffer health bar that breaks before you take any real damage is that your character needs to be hurt really, really badly before they actually show any physical damage.
And that would be fine, but again, you've brought this up you've hit the nail on the head, Steve. RWBY tonally doesn't know what it wants to be. Tonally, the show is so out of whack with itself that the serious scenes where it actually feels like a drama, and people die, and there's this huge conspiracy, and there's this this big overarching problem, and we're gonna have to face it, to the wackier side of it, where it's the cool fight scenes where these anime girls can take on fucking mech suits and punch each other over and over again and hit each other with scythes and take no damage. There's a huge disconnect between these two things. Both work fine on their own, and both would make for an interesting program. There's a disconnect between the two as it is.
Dan, have you ever played any of the? Also, Krista, you too. Have you guys either played any of the Yakuza games?
I have not.
I have not, but I would like to at some point.
Okay, so Dan, the thing that you brought up is actually the whole contrast between the serious tone and the wackiness. The Yakuza games are an example of a way to do that perfectly, because what the Yakuza game does exactly what RWBY's trying to do, where it's a game. It's like they're games about very serious moments, like the Yakuza, like it's like a crime family, so it's like murder, cheating, all that kind of shit. It's like bad shit happens, but at the same time, it's also contrasted with there's side quests in the game where you can help a dominatrix be meaner to her clients, like wacky shit like that, or you like help a boy band who are a bunch of pussies turn into like tough guys for their It's like where it's wacky shit like that, or you just walk up and like you beat up a nightclub owner because he like stiffed your drink or something. It's wacky shit like that, but they also contrast it with one of the first thing that happens is that in Yakuza 0 is that the main character gets basically falsely accused of a murder in a piece of real estate that's holding up this entire development, and he basically gets kicked out of his clan. It's like the Yakuza has stakes, but I think the reason it works in Yakuza, it doesn't work in RWBY, is because Yakuza commits to the wackiness and the serious parts equally. So when it's serious, it doesn't pull punches. People die, people get fucked up, people get hurt. And then in the wacky parts, they commit to that fully. I think RWBY is okay with the wackier parts, and I'm okay with them putting that as a contrast to the serious stuff. But RWBY only commits to the wacky parts, and they want to have like the veneer of a serious show, but they're not willing to commit to what needs to be done to have that serious tone. And it comes down to it that if you're going to make a serious show about violence, people have to get hurt. And it looks like RWBY's a show about violence where nobody ever gets hurt.
And again, that's where I'm saying this would be much better if this was a wackier show.
Yeah, because the wacky parts are at least fun. Nora should be the main character.
Oh my god, okay.
I mean, Dan and I have talked extensively about how much we would like Team Juniper as, like, the main team. Just because you've got your classic hero's journey in John.
Mm-hmm.
You've got Pyrrha, who's super interesting, like, as that prodigy character. And then, obviously, Nora is perfect.
Well,
Like,
again,
there's also Ren.
yeah, as we learn more about Ren and Nora, there is potential. Like if those four were the main characters, there is a story each of those four have to tell that is far more interesting and grounded in the world of Remnant than any of the four main characters. The four main characters have relevance to the plot only superficially.
I almost see that in you'll see it sometimes in shows where, because they have such a specific idea with what they want to do for the main plots, the side characters end up being kind of receptacles for the more experimental ideas, which end up just being done better.
Well, it's not even experimental ideas. It's just that the characters of Team Juniper have more plot relevance. They have a stake in the actual plot, and the main characters don't.
I gotta wonder how much of the show was actually written improvisationally, where they were just, I don't know, like they were just moving along with whatever they thought would logically come next, but they didn't think about the 10 steps ahead that would follow the plot after that. Because that's what you kind of have to do with a story like this, where it's you have to... One, the plot points have to bleed into each other, but then two, you have to have an end destination, which they did actually. We'll get to it when they go off to the class assignments, but I did see some signs of life there. But chronologically, after the robot fights, then there was the dance, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So during this whole kind of mini arc, they're setting up a dance, which is essentially like the mid semester dance. Like a lot of high schools have those. And Blake just is not having it.
Nope.
Does not want to be a part of this. She wants to keep focusing on the search for Roman Torchwick. And I like this because there's a visual indicator that she hasn't slept in days.
Yeah, they actually put bags under her eyes. They had the budget for that this time.
Yes, I like that because in some stories you don't get that. Like the character just looks exactly the same, but it's implied that they haven't been sleeping for days or eating. So RWBY is all bummed out that she can't get Blake to loosen up. Yang and Weiss are planning the actual dance because Velvet, the bunny girl from season 1 who was bullied by Cardin, we find out later she's a year older than everybody, so that's really weird that a bunch of freshmen are beating up on a sophomore.
I've seen that happen.
Yeah, I guess so. But her and her team were supposed to be the ones who were planning the dance, but they're on a mission. So they're actually out on a mission, and Weiss and Yang have to take over. After a bit more kind of talking, Yang decides she's going to go and try to get Blake to loosen up. Or at least
she
to,
states that she's going to. She doesn't say she's going to try. She's like, I'm going to do this.
This bitch gonna dance.
Can we talk about the casual racism Yang uses to like lure Blake to a conversation?
Oh, the fucking laser pointer.
Yeah, it works. Which, I mean, that's the thing, is like, it's funny as a gag, but the fact that they've set up this world in which the Faunus are like racially discriminated against gives it this whole undertone that's just not comfortable.
It's almost like, see, they really are just dumb animals underneath all this.
Yeah, like if they didn't do the whole like Faunus as like a discriminatory race thing and just had animal people alongside,
then that could have been
humans,
hilarious.
Yeah, that would have been really funny.
It wouldn't have had the same tone.
But
because they have a racism subplot, it's not.
Because I think I mentioned it during the view. I was like, and I guess I think it's like, and it is, nobody gives a shit because cat people don't exist yet. But like, it's
Elon Musk will come through,
right? Fucking please. Fucking it's in the context of the show, what she's doing is kind of fucking racist, and it's the equivalent of like luring a black guy with chicken and watermelon.
Yes, you did say that during the viewing.
Yeah.
And people are probably gonna be like, it's just a show, what do you have to make a big deal about it? It's like the
show makes a big deal of it. That's the problem.
And it disregards.
If the show didn't make a big deal about the whole racism thing, like if the Faunus were not second-class citizens, that joke would have been funny because it would have been an anime joke. It would have been something you would have seen in any other wacky shonen anime.
Yep.
I will say at face value, it's funny, but it's
hilarious.
when you start to think about it that, like, in the context of the show, you're like,
Yeah, and that's I think it's where the whole thing people go for, like, oh, just turn your brain off. It's like, but if we all just if I could turn my brain off, I wouldn't need like entertainment. I could just watch paint dry because I would just turn my brain off and be. That's why when you're sitting in a doctor's office, you don't just sit there and turn your brain off. You pull out your phone and play fucking Happy Wheels. Or whatever they have. I don't know. What are the kids playing?
Among Us, Steve.
Among Us, yeah.
Among Us is the current craze.
Well, no, see, that's the other thing. If I could turn off my brain and just enjoy something, I would have enjoyed Sucker Punch a lot more when that came out.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
That movie sucked, and it reminds me too much of RWBY.
Dan is too much of an enlightened atheist to truly enjoy low-tier content. I'm sorry I'm making fun of you.
I can hear the fedora being adjusted. I almost bought a fedora when I had to go to my my 1920s party, because then I thought, you know what, even for the time, it probably looks like shit, so I just didn't do it. But
that's fair. Okay, so, after the casual racism.
Yeah, then they have the heart-to-heart where Yang basically lays out her entire character in front of Blake. I remember immediately after, I think it was I can't remember which one of you it was, but one of you asked me, like, Steve, what was the vibe you got from that scene?
That was me.
Yeah, okay, and I was just like, I see why everyone's all about the gay. Like, that definitely had. The thing is, it could be interpreted that way, but at least in that scene, I didn't get any gay vibes from that. I just kind of got the whole thing, like, girl cares about her friend and wants her to have a good time. So,
I think the wink is where, for me, it crossed the line.
Oh, that's right, because
there was the wink, but even the wink wasn't.
I think the inherent difference is that I've experienced the gay, so when I see it, I'm like, oh yes, that's definitely gay.
Yeah, because I think now I remember I was like, it was pretty fuck, what's the word for a non-sexual friendship? platonic.
Platonic.
I was like, that's pretty fucking platonic, and then she winked, and I was like, gay.
There were undertones, but it wasn't like that was set up.
Exactly. Like they
I
could
don't know.
go either way, but
I think that they were laying a potential foundation for it there.
I don't think so, to be honest.
I'm okay with that. It's just I don't have the faith the show's gonna do anything good with it.
They don't, but they really don't.
We can save that discussion for if we ever fucking get to the later volumes.
That's true, because then that'll be a plot point.
Oh, it will be. But during the talk that the two of them have, we learned that Yang and RWBY are not full sisters. They're half sisters.
Yep.
According to the show's timeline, but this is my own pet theory.
Save your pet theory for at least when the other character involved is introduced. So
that's fine.
Next season.
So just to make sure I got that whole scene down, was that Yang's mom and her dad apparently they had Yang, and then Yang's biological mother fucked off to some other country.
Yep,
and,
almost immediately.
And then RWBY's mother, did she just disappear on a mission, or was it like?
That's what they claim. That's what the show claims.
Ultimately, she disappeared on a mission.
So
but
both
she
mothers
had RWBY first.
Okay. Yeah. So both mothers are alive. They're just AWOL.
Well,
they it's unclear whether or not one of them is alive.
That's
or not.
true.
I think Summer Summer being RWBY's mom. I don't remember if the name drop is a spoiler or not at this point, but whatever.
Matter.
I think we've said it before. Summer, I think, is assumed dead. She has a grave, but I don't know if I don't think she's actually buried there.
Her body's never been found.
Yeah, she has a grave that RWBY visits.
So at this point in time, RWBY's mom, not necessarily, but Yang's mom is definitely alive, and she's just doing something.
Yang's mom is alive and fucked off. RWBY's mom is presumed dead.
A deadbeat mom. How progressive.
Yeah. So the timeline that they're giving us is that Tai Yang, Yang's dad, and Raven Bronwyn were in a relationship while they were on a team together, right? Because so there's Team Stark is the team that is like Yang's dad, Yang's mom, RWBY's mom, and Raven's twin brother, Crow Bronwyn. We'll meet him later.
Nice.
The best character.
Other than Nora. I might put him on level with Nora if I like were to rank everybody.
Now those four were on a team, and it's presented that, and it has to be presented because Yang looks exactly like her two parents. That those two had a relationship and a child together, and basically immediately Raven just leaves, and within a year, maybe two, Tai Yang forgets about Raven,
pops out another chick,
gets together with another person gets together with another one of his best friends on his team, and has another child within 2 years.
The man's a Chad. What can he say?
That is a tight timeline. That is a really tight timeline.
Oh man, that's but they had to have them both be in the same class, Dan.
No, they didn't actually, because RWBY is 2 years younger than Yang, so technically she shouldn't be in the same class.
No, but she did really good in the entrance exams, and she stopped a robbery.
They give a reason for why Ozpin let her in other than just the robbery, but we're not there yet.
She does have a connection to him. Speaking of Ozpin, dude moved up a little bit in the tiers this week because
when we get to the dance, let's talk about the dance finally.
Yeah, they had a really neat character interaction where Ruby's like, he basically tells Ruby, it's like, you can't spend your whole life on the battlefield, so you gotta appreciate the little things like this, because eventually because he basically, like, he tells her, it's like, you're professional warriors, so your job is to go out and potentially die in the line of duty, so when you have a chance like this, just chill out every once in a while. And I thought that was a really cool character moment, and it was the first time Ozpin acted like a fucking educator since the start of this goddamn show. Fuck. First season's still salty. But
he's gotten better.
He has gotten better, and he has some good scenes in this show, or this season.
Yeah. But, so while at the dance, before the dance, actually, Sean, my boy.
John. God.
The lad, he attempted to ask Weiss to the dance, I think twice.
He posted so much cringe.
Yeah, he posted cringe, and was rejected promptly.
And she went after Neptune,
who also turned her down.
who isn't as cool as we thought he was.
Yeah. So Pyrrha throughout the entire first and second season has been heavily hinting to Jean that, like, just fucking take her, Jean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, she's been like attempting to low-key flirt with him.
And
Even so much that the two of them train nightly together.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly, it's an okay interaction to have where it's like John's kind of the dude he's not looking at the thing he has right in front of him. He's going after the cheerleader, so to speak. And I think it does make sense they don't, because Pyrrha is just she's the prodigy at fighting, but that also, like, she explains it flat out later where that does kind of distance her from her peers because she's on a level so far above them. John's kind of like the first person who treated her like she was an equal.
Correct.
And,
it makes sense as to why Pyrrha would like Jean, but I don't know. Like, Pyrrha just seems better than Weiss in every way.
She
Do you
is.
agree?
Weiss is a piece of shit.
Well, I mean, she is, but I think it still makes some sense for... I mean, I guess what's kind of weird about him choosing Weiss to be into is that Weiss also has some degree of elevated status.
Yes.
So in contrast with Pyrrha, I almost feel like it would have made more sense if John had a thing for Ruby that Ruby didn't reciprocate.
Or Yang.
Or Yang. People who are more... Well, I say Ruby because she's, I think, out of her group, the one who's closest to, like, his level.
Yeah. That
Yeah,
actually
but
would have
not
been...
I could
yeah.
see a character, like, distinction for Ruby being, like, she's not into boys, she just wants to hit
She just
things
wants
with
to
sight.
fight.
She just
And-
wants... Like, that actually... I think I would have enjoyed that if they established that as a part of her character.
Because then that would also be kind of a way for him to segue into, like, liking Pyrrha as well, because he's like, why do you like Ruby? It's like, oh, because she's like really cool. She likes to fight shit. I like to fight shit. It's like, oh, you got another girl, John, who likes to fight shit too. She's been fighting with you every fucking night on the rooftop.
Yeah.
Idiot. But
So we get the classic rooftop scene, but instead it's Pyrrha explaining to Jean that nobody asked her to the dance because everyone puts her on the pedestal and assumes that she is better than that everyone assumes that Pyrrha is too good for them.
So they assume essentially that if they were to ask Pyrrha to the dance, she would say no. Because
Yeah.
she is the Amazon goddess warrior.
yeah.
Yeah.
And this was another moment where Dan's famous line, stolen by Weiss, where the whole thing, for someone who's so fast, you spend so much time doing nothing. That whole balcony scene could have been condensed into a much cleaner character moments, where I know they had to set up the gag where John was like, if no one asks you to the dance, I'll wear a dress. That perfectly fit him, by the way. Why did he own that? Anyway, so the whole balcony scene could have been where John is like, he sees Pyrrha just alone, just like looking miserable on the balcony, and he's like, huh, what's that? And then John goes up and he asks her, like, where's your dates? And and then she breaks down, she's like, I don't have one. It's like, fucking nobody asked me. And then John, internally, would have just been like, oh, fuck, I've been a complete idiot this entire time. And then without having them both spill out their character motivations, then just right there, John realizes he's been stupid, and even if maybe he doesn't realize that, like, he romantically is into her, he's at least seeing that his female friend is alone and miserable, and he's like, hey, you want to dance? And she's like, cool. And then that could have been the scene. But instead, the way they did it was Pyrrha was just basically vomiting her character all over John. Didn't even give him a napkin to wipe himself up afterwards. And she's just like... It could have been so much cleaner.
Oh, it absolutely could have been. But I did enjoy the conversation that Pyrrha was having. It was just that Jean was spouting the same lines over and over again.
Yeah, and it's...
I had more of a problem with Jean's dialogue than I did with Pyrrha's.
I don't know. It's one of those things where if you can find a way to incorporate character building into an organic situation where you can observe their character rather than have them tell you their character. In that situation, at least, like, Pyrrha basically just told the audience what her character was doing in that moment, rather than having it be organically shaped up. But the thing is, that's fucking hard, and that takes a lot of effort to actually put in the right scenes to get it there. So eventually, if you get to a scene and you haven't built up the correct context around that situation, then you have to just vomit exposition because you've written yourself in a corner and you don't have any more time. You need this moment to happen right now, but none of the pieces are in place, so you just put exposition in there. And I think that's my whole thing with Pyrrha, was that I like what they were trying to do, and I think the dance scene at the end made me a little bit less angry about it, but it's like, I don't know, they could have done that so much better. They got it done, but they did it with a hammer when they could have done it with a screwdriver.
Indeed. Because after that, we also get the reason why Neptune didn't ask Weiss to the dance.
Because he's not cool.
He can't dance. He cannot dance. And that is the only thing that he is self-conscious about. So Jean and him have a pep talk. The two writers are essentially jerking themselves off. And we get back to the actual dance, where Jean makes good on his promise and wears a dress to the actual dance and asks Pyrrha to dance.
Yeah.
Where we get the hype dance song. Music in this show is still fucking awesome.
Oh, the music is too good for this show. It literally does not deserve to be in this show.
And again, I think the whole reason why this whole dance scene was a lot longer than it was so they could get to that dance choreography, because they clearly spent a lot of time and effort on the dance choreography.
Oh yeah.
If I remember correctly, like, that was a Monty thing where he primarily loves fight animation, but he also has done like dance choreography animation work, and he wanted to work some of that in.
He did a good job.
Yeah, like the choreography is good. It was just that the story leading up to it was dragging a little.
Have that be the tagline for RWBY.
Oh boy.
It looks
choreography
good.
Is great, but the story drags.
Getting there is a pain.
Yep.
Speaking of fights, after that, didn't RWBY intercept an intruder?
Yes, she did.
Because Cinder was in the dance. I guess with Mercury and Emeralds. They were just slow dancing while like watching people, I guess.
They're like, yeah, we're working. Yeah.
Just like touching each other, like, yeah, we're working. Although actually Emerald like fucking hates Mercury, so I don't think she would deliberately go out of.
Or is it like tsundere hate?
We don't know.
Okay.
That's the thing. We don't know.
I don't know if we've seen enough of them yet to really discern whether she's tsundere hating him or actually fucking despises the guy.
We've seen a lot of soon. We need some dere to confirm this.
All right. So yeah, RWBY intercepts. It's obviously Cinder. It's obviously the girl you saw in an airplane shucking fireballs at you and Glinda Goodwich before. It's
she has
obviously
the same hair.
It's obviously the girl you ran into in the hallway and helped her find the dorm room that she was in. It's so obviously the same person. But that she's even using the same powers.
Dan, she had a mask.
God. Put it together, RWBY. My God. You're not supposed to be this stupid.
I was like, honestly, this is where her being stupid could be a plot point.
But yeah, she fights Cinder in the tower because Cinder was trying to steal documents from the tower. Basically, after the fight, Cinder gets away. RWBY gets caught by Ironwood. Cinder like teleports back to, like, it was weird how she got back to the dance. They didn't really show how she got back to the dance, but made it back and took over to start dancing with Mercury to make it look like nothing happened.
Again, this is me trying to write RWBY into being a better show, but I almost think it would have been better if RWBY had recognized her. Like, say she couldn't go back to dance, she couldn't go back to the school, and so then she basically, like, well, that could have been a character thing where, like, say she's used to handling shit, like, on the ground floor, and she's used to doing everything herself and getting her hands dirty, but suddenly she can't because she fucked up and showed her face, and now her subordinates basically have to kind of almost just interpret her directions and work on their own. Like, that could have been a weird dynamic, but no, RWBY doesn't recognize her because she's an idiot, so everything just goes back to normal, and we're just moving along business as usual.
Well, it's weird you say that because they kind of half do that anyway. Because Mercury is the one who's collecting the groundwork information anyway. Because there's a scene where him and Pyrrha have a duel,
Yeah.
and Mercury's he's not trying to win the fight.
No.
Like Mercury has no reason to actually win the fight. He's just trying to see what Pyrrha's semblance is.
Mhm.
And during the fight, he explains to Cinder later that while he was like trying to kick at her, she was using her polarity to kind of move his legs around.
Mhm.
So like Mercury's doing all the groundwork on it anyway. Like that, like they have the setup to do that, but they just don't do it.
Yeah.
Cinder just has to be there.
And I don't know, because apparently they can just, like, I assume they have a way to communicate with their forces outside of the school. So, unless Cinder just has to see everything firsthand, or I don't know. Again, I think we're already putting more thought into it than the writers did. So, fuck. What happened after that? Then they were all signing up for, like, their work studies or whatever?
Their first assignments.
Okay. And then Ozpin, God love him, I'm trying not to hate him. He literally is like, I know you've been blatantly breaking the rules this entire time. Have a cookie. Try not to do it again. Like, bro, be a teacher. Suspend them.
I guess he's pulling a Dumbledore.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is the best way I can describe it.
His whole thing is that he said that the four of them are going to go to the area where they know the White Fang are anyway.
Mhm.
So he might as well put them on an assignment that puts them there in a safer scenario, because he deliberately changes the assignment too, because it was originally a search and destroy,
And then it's just reconnaissance.
It's reconnaissance with a teacher Ozpin specifically trusts.
Okay. I think I'm still hot off the take from his first season, where he literally catapulted his students into the forest.
Yeah. Honestly, if it weren't for that, like, that in and of itself just puts such a fucking hole in his character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. If that hadn't happened, I would be more receptive to this scene. But at this, it's because of what he did for a season. I'm just like, bro, control your fucking students and stop trying to kill them.
Now we missed something. Now before they actually go to pick their mission, they get a letter from their Ruby and Yang get a letter from their dad.
Or a package.
A package,
that's
really.
Right. Doggo.
And in the package, stuffed into a tube, is a corgi.
Yeah, which, like, maybe that is Tai Yang's semblance. Tai Yang being, like, Yang's and Ruby's father.
He can turn things into conveniently sized
we don't
travel
actually
packages.
ever see him use his semblance in the series
Or his
that
weapon.
I know of, or his weapon. So I mean, maybe his semblance is like condensing things.
Yeah, it's compression. He's compression from fucking My Hero Academia.
Even then, that's one of those wacky things where, like, because it was funny, and because it didn't really, like, fuck up the plot in any way, I was just like, I don't care. Dog gets mailed across the country. What's Oxygen? He's cute. Who gives a fuck? Happy
Well, that's what I
dog
mean.
scene.
That's what I mean. Like, if they had embraced that type of show, this would be a much more fun and enjoyable watch. Like, it has the elements that could be the entire plot of the show.
Yeah.
It's a wacky high school where, you know, girls with big fuck off weapons fight things, and wacky things like a dog gets sent through the mail.
And you could still have them fighting bad guys, but you don't need a racism subplot.
No, God.
So the reason,
like, Torchwick actually would be a solid villain for that kind of lighthearted show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it would be.
He's
like,
literally,
he works great.
He's like he has a cane, for God's sake, and a bowler hat. All he's missing is a mustache.
Oh, we'll get that later.
Oh,
we'll
does he get a mustache?
Later. No, a different villain does.
Let Torch have a mustache.
So the reason why I have to bring up that Zwei comes into the picture is because Ruby decides to take Zwei with her on their mission with Oobleck, Steve's favorite character.
As soon as that man came on the screen, it was like all my worries melted away, and I was like, yes. Oh, fuck. And then they had the gall to go and try to fucking characterize this guy, and then did a good job at it, and actually maintained the whole veneer of, like, wise old mentor who looks like he's fucked in the head, but he's actually way smarter than you'll ever be, and you need to put some respect on his goddamn name. Fuck,
Dr.
I love this guy.
Dr.
Goddamn.
This man has a PhD.
Oh, man.
Like, it is a running gag that whenever someone calls him professor, he goes, doctor.
Oh, you know what? I'll call that man whatever he wants. God, King, Emperor, Mr. Professor, Dr. Oobleck. Yes, Daddy.
So the reason why he has a really good characterization is because while they're on this mission, Oobleck is asking all of the girls except for Ruby why they want to be a huntress, and none of the girls can really give a good answer until they're around the campfire. And around the campfire, Yang explains that the two, Weiss and Blake have a reason to want to be huntresses. Even Ruby does, but Yang just kind of goes with the flow. She wants to go on adventures and have a life of adventure, and that's why she wants to be a huntress, because it aligns with that.
It's
Yeah,
almost
like, it's
really
not about being a hero for her. It's about fighting shit and having fun.
Yeah, it's almost kind of like it's very similar to the motivations of people. And have you guys ever seen Hunter x Hunter?
Yes.
Yeah,
Not all of it, but I've seen some of it.
But it's like yeah, because I just finished the Hunter exam, but it was like they brought up that a lot of people want to be hunters, like for just because they get to go around the world and see cool shit and like fight monsters and stuff, and it's like that's a cool thing. No, Yang did, like, I can buy that, yeah, that she just wants to go around, and you can almost work with that, because then Yang almost feels that, everyone else has, like, these motivations where Blake wants to, basically free her people, Weiss wants to, be a worthy successor to her father's company and potentially change some of the... Because she admits, like, we're doing some shady shit. It's not good. Like, maybe she wants to change that. And then Yang is just...
Her concept is that she wants to redeem her family name, essentially.
Okay.
Yes, because her father married into the family name and has been fucking it up ever since.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, the Yang is almost kind of... You almost kind of see her feel not bad, but she's like, you guys have all these noble motivations, and I just want to go around and see cool shit, and is that enough? So you can work with that. Like, that could be a cool character thing to explore.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if they will.
They do not. But we also get a little bit more from Blake explaining her relationship with Adam. Now, she refers to Adam as a friend and mentor. In the White Fang specifically, and that as they continued working together, his methods got more and more sadistic, cruel, I would say, and she no longer felt that what the path he was going down was the right path, so she left.
Props for them for actually. I will give them, except for Ruby's, but they, at least for Yang and Blake,
Blake,
yeah, they actually gave a little bit of they gave their those intro trailers, they gave them plot significance.
Yes.
Which I wasn't quite sold on, but I think they've done it well enough that I'm not...
That just kind of is the common thing, is that RWBY, it gets the job done well enough, but not enough that it is high. It is exceptional.
Yeah, it's one of those... I think I brought this up... I can't remember if I brought this up last time, but I think if I had watched RWBY a few years ago, it would have been... Make me sound pretentious as fuck, but like I've been trying to like look at shows closer because I'm going into writing, and I've been trying to like actually like find things that work and things that don't. Because of that, I've been trying to watch as many shows as possible, and been trying to read as many books as possible. And the thing is, like, the more you read over certain plot points, the more you kind of start questioning is, why would I enjoy this more when this show over here does the same thing but better? So it's all about, and then again, it comes to the point where there's a limited number of ideas in the human consciousness, so it's more about, one, how good you can execute it, and then two, what makes it different from anything else. And I think the more shows you watch, the more you start seeing issues like within RWBY, where the world building is a little bit sloppy, or where like the pacing is off, and it's I don't know. I gotta say that I will commend them for at least making the attempt, because like, to go from fight animation into writing a full-fledged fantasy world, that's a rough thing to do.
It is. And I'm very harsh on the writing of RWBY just because I know it can be better.
Because they had some really interesting ideas. What makes us get upset is where the execution falls flat because of that that wasted potential.
Yeah.
So we start leading into the climax of this season. Ruby and Zwei go off because they see some White Fang members, or Zwei runs off, and then they run into White Fang members.
Uh-huh.
And Ruby ends up falling through a sink, not really a sinkhole, but like a cracked thing in the ground. And she gets captured by Roman and his guys, which in the background we do see more of the Elysian Paladins, but they're doing manual labor.
Yeah.
They're basically just used for manual labor now because 4 high school girls could beat them, could destroy them.
Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. And then the whole train fight happens, and
Yes.
I actually got to say this was I did enjoy like just the execution of their plan, where their whole point is to basically overthrow this not overthrow, but like they're basically trying to cause chaos in the city. And the way they do that is they drive the train through the tunnels, and they blow up barriers that are apparently holding Grimm as they go. And then eventually where the train ends is they blast out into the city, and then the Grimm are following the train, and then they just get loose in the city and they go run wild. And it's like, that was a cool way to set up that it was a cool plan, and they executed it well. So I won't take any points off for that.
The climax on the train was really fun because up on the top of they eventually all split off. So at the top of the train we have Ruby, Oobleck, and Zwei. Because Zwei actually is a fighter.
Yeah. The dog.
Again, dog. It's something that fits with the more comedic elements of RWBY.
Yeah. The dog has the firing capacity of a cannonball or Sonic the Hedgehog, because Oobleck takes his thermos that is also like a rocket launcher flamethrower.
Yes.
And launches the fucking dog at Elysian Paladins and Grimm and blows them the fuck up.
What the fuck was that?
It was hype, Steve. That's what it was.
Also,
we are on the hype train.
We're literally on the... Okay, I'm down. I'm right. I love RWBY. I don't. But...
So, aside from the actual hype on the top of the train, we get to 3 individual fights. Yang ends up fighting Neapolitan, which is the strawberry chocolate hair girl who was Roman's second in command. She doesn't speak. She is mute. And her power that we didn't talk about earlier, but what her power is she can cast illusions. So the way Roman got away after his first Elysian Paladin gets destroyed,
that's right. I forgot about
is
that.
Neo comes in and casts an illusion to where they can get away. So Yang is going to fight Neo. Weiss is going to fight this dude from the White Fang who's like this fucking like 7-foot tall Russian man.
Was that the dude with the chainsaw sword?
Yeah, he's got the chainsaw sword. And Blake is gonna go fight Roman. 2 of these fights go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
Weiss and Yang just get the shit kicked out of them. Yang
Blake actually won her fight.
Yeah, Blake is the only one who wins her fight. Blake beats up Roman pretty handedly, which is interesting because Roman is not shown to be that weak.
Yeah, I thought, wasn't he taking on Wukong and Blake
and
at the same
Blake
time?
Before, yeah.
So I don't know, maybe he was just thrown off by the balance of the train, or I almost would have thought it as a I don't know, that could have been used as a good character moment for Blake, where she just gets like the shit kicked out of her, and then she realizes that, okay, even though I want to go out and fight these terrorists right now, I can't because I'm still a fucking student. But no, she just wins the fight. So it's she's proven right.
Yeah. I think if they wanted to try to make it work while maintaining those 2 plot points of she loses, or she gets beaten in the first fight, she wins the second one. Is maybe if they worked in like actual training sequences for her when she was staying up late.
Yeah, that could have been good.
That could have been something, at least like a justification for why she would be better the second time.
It would have helped.
The power
I don't think it would have been as interesting as letting her lose another fight, but I think that if they wanted to maintain she wins her fight there while losing it earlier, then yeah, just training sequence, and that's why she's up late.
It's like they want to have a specific outcome, but they don't really ever. It's another case of where if they had put in the work earlier to make this scene pay off better, then I probably wouldn't have had as much of a problem with it. But it's all I'm seeing is just like It's just opportunities to make the story interesting that they're just leaving on the table.
Yeah. So Weiss gets beaten up so handedly that there was a scene where I thought she was going to get cut in half.
Oh, that would have been fun. That would
Because
have
like
been so much fun.
you see her get thrown up into the air, and Chainsaw Man like has the chainsaw about to cut her in half, and then it cuts. The scene cuts back to I think Blake and Roman. So yeah, Weiss gets just like thrown through the train to the other room. And then in the fight with Yang and Neo, Yang up until this point has basically had no problem fighting.
Right.
She has won basically every fight she's been a part of, and Neo just dismantles her.
That was actually a really good use of jobbing, because then like you said, we have shown that probably actually the first case of jobbing we've seen where it's like we have this character who has been known to win every fight she's in. She's been established as super fucking strong, and then just gets her, like, she didn't have a chance. Like, this Neapolitan girl, and the fact that the Neapolitan girl, I'm gonna keep calling her that, is
that's her name. That's her
name is Neo.
Her name is Neo. Okay, fucking. But
her name is Neo, and last name Politan.
Oh my fucking
Actually,
God.
I thought her full name is just Neapolitan, but
It might be. I thought it was Neo.
but people call her Neo.
Space Politan.
Son of a bitch.
Well, yeah, we can look it up. Whatever.
Yeah.
Go on.
But no, the fact that she is characterized without speaking, and the way she just kind of moves about like lackadaisically and not really seem like she's trying, it's like it gives her the, like, they actually show she has a personality where, like, she is kind of cocky, she's just laid back, doesn't really see Yang as a threat in any way. And I thought that was a good way to put that. And then after Yang loses.
Yeah, after Yang loses, we see a woman in red and black and a grim mask. So she looks, and with a katana too. The character design between this woman and Adam is so similar. Mm-hmm. It's weird. But it's revealed that this woman is Yang's mom. This is Raven. Yeah, Raven Bronwyn shows up out of nowhere to Deus Ex Machina, win the fight, and get Neo away from Yang.
And I'm just like, why? What?
We don't know yet. We'll learn later. And then she portals away.
Yeah, portals are her semblance.
Okay.
She makes portals.
If we want the specific, like, details of it, which I don't think is that too spoilery to give out, or is that fine?
I mean, do you care enough about Raven's power sets to wait till it's explained, Steve, or do you want to know what her power set is?
I mean, fuck it.
I mean, essentially, her portals, how they work is she can portal to anyone she cares about, or people who are close to her.
Yeah, she has. I think it's like family members or something. I don't know.
That's a weird limitation.
That brings up a whole problem of why is she a deadbeat? If she can portal to Yang at any time and back to where she came from, why does she have to leave?
Maybe
why
it's
couldn't
just to rub in what a deadbeat she is. I don't know.
But like that, like if she just didn't have that power, it would be fine. It's the fact that she has the power that she could be in almost two places at once.
Maybe that's the thing they're going for, Dan, where it's like, I could go see my daughter whenever I want to, but I won't.
That makes her even more an F-tier character to me. She is my least favorite character in the whole show.
I can see why.
I hate Raven Bronwyn so goddamn much.
But yeah,
she's just the worst.
We're almost
there. Because we get to the actual climax where the train crashes into the city, and all of the girls and like a lot of the teachers are fighting a whole army of Grimm.
I thought that whole scene was. After the train crashed, I really didn't like. I didn't give a fuck because we already had the climax in the train.
Yeah, well, because the Grimm pose no threat.
That's true.
Is the thing. To any of our main characters, the Grimm are meaningless.
Yep.
Yeah, if they had shown civilians actually getting hurt, then it would have at least had some stakes. Even if not for the main characters, you would have known, like, people are still dying.
I forget.
But we don't see that.
Did they actually say that anyone was hurt?
No.
Well,
they might have said.
They did say it. Let me.
Because I know
they may have said that, but they didn't show it.
I can't.
Yeah, I think they said something like RWBY was like, so many people were hurt.
No, we were like, we didn't see anybody get hurt.
Yeah, no one got hurt. Because we also get to see Team Coffee, like the full Team Coffee.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is,
that was fun to watch.
Velvet, the Bunny Girls team.
One chick fighting with a briefcase, love it.
That's also the fucking Pandora's box from Devil May Cry 4
Oh,
turns into a chain gun.
God, that was amazing.
Yeah, Coco is pretty cool.
We get to see Yatsuhashi with his giant fuck off sword, and then we get to see Fox with his wrist blades that he just straight up ninja punches an Ursa into oblivion.
I gotta
Yeah,
say,
he's like the Ren of their team.
I hated Bunny Girl's outfit.
I know you hate Velvet's outfit for some reason.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's-
I kind of agree. It's a really weird design.
I think that because just functionally, like, it's supposed to be armor, but why would you not have? Why would you just have random ass openings like in your stomach where your guts are, and then your legs? Like I know they were probably trying to go for the more sexy aesthetic, but you can do that with like there's so many examples of like we have female characters wearing the full body suits where it's like it's still hot because they're like form fitting, but it's also protection.
I mean, she doesn't really wear armor except for her shoulder pads.
That's the thing. It's like if you have armor, like why not just you've already shown you're like willing to cover a large part of your body. She's got everything in the upper torso, and like she's wearing like fucking a bikini bottom armor underwear belt, which I don't
Not. I mean, those are just more like shorts, to be honest.
That's the
Although the
thing.
texture of it is the same texture as her shoulder pads.
Exactly. So it's like
So
why
it's kind of ambiguous as to whether that's supposed to be metal or fabric.
functionally in the world there is no reason why she should have those massive gaps in her armor. But the cynical side of me thinks that somebody thought we're gonna make money off this sexy fucking bunny girl, and you're all just gonna lap it up. You fucking idiots! Look how hot she is. Don't give a fuck
From what
about
it
armor.
looks like, her upper and lower parts of the outfit are like cargo shorts, like leather,
Yeah, like
and then she wears like bits of metal on them.
it's just baffling, and I don't know. It's one of those things that was just. I got angry because I feel like I put more thought into it than the writers did, and they were just like, "Yeah, it's a cool outfit for her to wear," but they didn't think about how it functionally fit into the world at large, and which is pretty much just the running theme of this show. Is like they did stuff that it looked cool, but they didn't think about how it actually fit into the world at large. And I got angry again. Damn it! I said.
Well,
I was gonna do it.
again, armor doesn't really mean anything because aura is a thing.
Exactly. So why even have the veneer of wearing armor? I don't know.
I don't know, because Jean and Pyrrha wear armor for no reason.
Yeah. So it's like if all it's gonna do is just slow you. Maybe the armor is like to protect you for when your aura fails, but we've never seen the aura fail.
No.
So I don't know. More nitpicks. But how did that actually end? Like.
I mean, they cleared out all the Grimm, and Glinda Goodwitch once again used her magic fucking powers to fix the city.
She just has organization, the ability.
God, she just has God mode.
Oh man, Glinda Godwitch, more like.
Hey.
I hate
Yes.
this.
But yeah, after that, the girls kind of have a nice little heart-to-heart with each other on the balcony. And then it leads into Volume 3, which we will have to watch some other time. So any final thoughts, Steve?
I know the rabbit outfit got me a bit heated. But,
Yeah, it really did. It really did.
I don't know, because I think it just sums up my biggest issue with RWBY is that it looks cool, but if you put you really do have to kind of turn your brain off at points to really get the full enjoyment out of it, and I can't do that. And so it's like when I keep asking questions like this, then it's just a bunch of little nitpicks for me. Where I will say, though, it was better than Season 1. They seem like they actually have at least an idea of where they want the plot to go. I think we said earlier where it's like, it's the thing with the Pyrrha and John scene on the balcony, where they got the job done, but the way it was executed could have been a lot better, and the way the details all kind of muddled around it were very unclear, and it could have been more interesting. But as far as RWBY as a plot now, it's getting the job done, which is okay with me, but... y'all are saying Season 3 is going to be the best one yet, so I'm excited for that.
Not to say it doesn't have flaws, because when I briefly started rewatching Season 3 again, like after we watched Volume 2, I there were some things that I was just immediately like, Steve's going to have words about this.
I fully am aware that Steve is going to have various words for all of these seasons. Steve, if you're having problems now, it's not gonna get any better.
Nice.
Well, okay, Volume 3 will be better, and then
It's just
I think
gonna
Volume 4 is okay. Volume
Volume
6 is
5.
okay.
Yeah. I've got a theory as to why Volume 3, because you said Volume 3 is a tournament arc, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is just me, like, off the cuff. I don't know, maybe they do fix the... I'm thinking why Volume 3 might be regarded as the better season is because it's mostly focused around fighting,
Probably.
which is the
Probably.
thing RWBY's good at.
Probably,
it's probably
to be honest.
because there's a lot more fights,
Mhm.
and a lot more of the screen time is fights, and you're just like having a good time most of the time.
And if it turns out to just be a shit ton of fights, I'm okay with that. It's because every time the fights are on screen, I have a good time and it's fun. It's just, why can't they do that all the time? Why does there have to be racial injustice?
I don't know. I don't really know.
And I know we keep hammering down on the racial injustice thing, but that really is like the biggest symptom of their attempt to make it more serious than
Yeah.
their writing chops.
And you know what
muster.
and you know what the fucking problem is? Is that is a subplot.
That's
Yeah.
not even the main plot.
No.
Like, it's a bigger plot point in the early seasons, but later on, like, the focus switches much more to the grim, and the faunus thing doesn't really tie in as
It gets dropped
succinctly anymore.
entirely.
Bro, they could have pulled what Attack on Titan did, where it was like it was less. As Attack on Titan went on, it became, because it's very similar where like humanity's kind of like caged in to protect themselves against these monstrous creatures on the outside. If they had the writers for it, they probably could have made the whole racial injustice thing, because just like Attack on Titan, the real threat was obviously the outside titans or the grim, but the real threat was like whether or not people would kill themselves inside the walls through infighting and like political sabotage and shit like that. Like, that's an interesting story. So if they
I still hate Attack on Titan.
What season have you watched?
I've watched up through season 2 and I did not like it.
Okay, that's fair, because the pacing kind of sucks a lot in those places, but season 3 literally makes it, I would say, on par with Evangelion.
That is a bold claim,
It
sir.
is a bold fucking claim, I know. And
that is a very bold claim.
Oh boy, that's well, that'll be another topic, but
All right.
You can make a fucking video essay selling Dan on Attack on Titan.
Yes.
All right. Shall we move on to the tier list?
I think we shall.
Hell yeah.
Let's see.
Please
All right.
scream it for us,
Let's
Steve
see.
boy.
Share your screen.
All right.
To
an
And
extent,
we're
yeah.
back for the tier list.
All right, can you
Hell
guys see
yeah.
it?
Yep.
All right. So, let's see. Let me just.
Hopefully I got everybody. I think I did.
That's the best thumbnail. Okay.
Yeah, I had to find the ideal picture of her to laugh and look down at everyone below her. And it's perfect.
Fucking perfect. Oh man.
Easy choice right there.
Yes.
S plus tier.
But yeah,
All right.
I added S plus because you were talking about like needing a higher tier than S.
True.
So that is here now.
Okay, thank you. That was just to show, like, because if a character ever gets on the level of Nora, they are obviously on a plane of existence above everyone else. Speaking of which,
Ooh, he done did it.
boy,
Oh.
I'm doing it. I'm calling this man got more. Oh, they managed to have several extended scenes with this guy, and they didn't fuck up his character. Oh,
Yeah,
I
they
love
just
it.
made him cooler.
They did. Also, the fact that apparently, since his weapon is like a flamethrower rocket launcher, the same weapon that we've seen him drinking out of, the man straight drinks diesel for fun. Don't fuck with this guy.
Yeah, no, he doesn't drink speed, Steve. He drinks diesel.
Literally
He drinks ketamine.
Gasoline. Oh,
He has
God.
consumed ketamine.
His brain burns so many calories at once by his big 500 IQ 5 head that he needs to drink literal gasoline just to get the nutrients in his body.
His hair isn't actually that long. It's hiding his massive fucking brain.
Oh, God. Alright, so, going into characters who shifted around a little bit. I know this guy he was in, I think, B or A tier for putting Weiss in her place.
Yep.
But, Yeah, dude, you lost control of your class telling a boring ass story. It's like C tier. Get with the times.
Not a good teacher.
No, he's not doing the best. Let's see. Oh, John, I don't. Part of me is. I like his character. I think they fucked up with the dance parts, but I think that was more due to the writers, and I don't think John deserved to be lumped in with. Although to be fair, the writers are also the voice actor for John. So.
Yep.
I'm gonna take a leap of faith. I'm gonna put John in B tier and hope this motivates the writers to not fuck him up.
All right.
They're gonna see your video.
Yes, and they're gonna be like, guys, we have to go retcon everything.
We have to retroactively fix the show that we've spent 6 years on already.
We need to impress Steve of Dark Side of the Disc fame and his checks notes 5 subscribers.
It's 60.
I'm pretty sure you have more than that, but what is the number?
Now it's at 60, I think, but
hell yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's see what else. Need someone to fill the lower tiers. I'm gonna say
we're gonna fill it out. All right.
Yeah, I think. I refuse to put Ren anywhere below C tier, but they just they haven't done anything with him. All he's like they're slowly. I don't know. They're almost pushing him into like the confused boy. Because when Nora's like, it's happening, and he's like, what? What's happening? What? It's like I get that's him not really giving a fuck about social shit, but I am worried they're gonna push him into just being stupid. But so I'm gonna keep him in C tier for now, and hope they don't fuck him up. Let's see. Pierre is still in A tier. I think
that's
you know
understandable.
what? Actually, I'm gonna put Pierre in S tier because I think
really?
she got some good work done with her character, and I just feel bad that she's gonna get shipped with John.
Poor girl.
And I think she needs some love. Let's see.
Clearly, the true answer is her being in Lesbians with Nora.
Oh God, no! Tell me that's not what they do.
No, it's not.
Oh, thank God.
Oh,
okay.
You should have let him. You should have let him hope.
Oh man, no,
You should have let him hope.
Fuck. What else?
Once again, you're avoiding the main cast.
Yeah, I know. I'm working on it. Fucking. You know what? I will say I'm gonna put RWBY in C tier.
Okay.
Okay.
Because she has had some.
I think she moved up.
Yeah, she used to be in
D
D tier
before. Yeah.
Because
Like-
she's had some funny moments, and she's always gonna be like. Her whole her character can get annoying, but when she does land, it is funny. Like the scene where Oobleck was like, "Who's taking the first watch?" And she's like, "Yo." I was like, "Yes."
Yeah.
Proud of that. Like that. Let's see. Speaking of D tier, you ain't going nowhere.
Oh
honey.
no.
Yeah, no, y'all can stick there. Fuck, it's
Weiss has not been did not turn around yet on you, has
no.
she?
Weiss is maintaining a solid, comfortable spot in just being an asshole, and also the fact that when Oobleck was like, "Why do you want to be a hunter, Weiss?" and then Weiss had that absolutely pre-planned out, memorized answer. Which is just shut up, honey. Just give an honest answer. Don't be like, I have to maintain the family name, and it was no longer a question once I was able to ascertain my abilities. It's just shut up. D tier. Fuck you. I'll be honest. I'm put Wukong in B tier.
Oh really?
Yeah.
All right.
He's happy, go lucky. Just wants to take the faunest girl to the dance. He doesn't do anything stupid. They haven't fucked him up yet. I don't get annoyed when he does things.
That's understandable. B tier is essentially characters you tolerate. Got it.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like B tier is the characters I tolerate. C tier is you just there. D tier is get it together. Trying to think. Is there anyone in A tier? You know what? Yeah.
Nice.
There we go. It's the bright face for it too. Let's see. I'm gonna put Card in an F tier just because I don't think we'll ever see him again, so he won't really get.
You won't. You see him in the background like a couple more times, but no.
He literally is a throwaway character.
He's only relevant for the bully arc.
His contributions to the show are gone.
The bees.
The bees.
He'll never be a true Chad ever again.
Let's see. Ooh, the shopkeeper. I was gonna put him in D tier, but the dude just can't catch a break, so I'll put him.
You'll give him a little bit of.
Yeah,
a break.
I realized I was missing him from last.
Oh, was he not there last time?
Yeah, I think I forgot to put him in last time.
That's fine.
But I'm like, shopkeep is important.
Yeah.
Is he though?
He's a running gag. He's like
he's more significant than Ruby's mom.
Oh my god, you're right.
Oh god, you're fucking right. He's a more constant presence than Ruby's mom.
I equated him to the Cabbages man from Avatar.
Yeah, that's approximately what really feels. I wouldn't be surprised if that was his inspiration.
Got the job done. Let's see. I'm gonna put. You know what? I'm actually gonna put Neo in B tier, just because she actually. They characterized her well without. They did the first good example really of just showing, not telling, and I don't know anything about her, but she introduced at least some power discrepancy for
the main girls.
Yeah, for her and Yang, and I don't know. Don't fuck it up.
Yeah, I mean, she has to show and not tell because she can't talk.
Yeah.
She can't just dump her exposition. She has to do things.
Let's see. Is there anyone else in? You know what? I'm gonna put you're on thin ice, bud. But yeah, you move up one.
He jumped up one.
He jumps up.
Right.
It's gonna take a long time to let go of him launching children into the
He's on a tight leash. Let's see. Ooh, the doggo. A tier.
The doggo bomb.
Bro, what the fuck was that? The fact the dog just kept smiling the whole time.
He's the happiest weapon of destruction.
Oh, man. Let's see. I gotta be honest, he hasn't been on screen for long, but this guy,
that's understandable.
Yeah, I liked his. He at least seems like because he also introduces a little bit of conflict between him and Ozpin, where he's like out on the looking into the ocean with Glenda, and he's like, the dude's asking me to put a lot of faith in him, and I don't know if I trust him enough for that. And then Glenda's like, come on, man, just trust the system, bro. And
well,
I'm like,
the two of them had a relationship at some point. They had to have.
I was like,
it's heavily implied.
Yeah, or at the very least, they worked together before.
Yeah.
Or because they do dance at the dance.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
So at the very least, they were they were at least close colleagues, or maybe they had a relationship, but
something is going on there.
To be determined. Let me see. Bro, I gotta say, I just did not like you at all. I did not ever think you were funny. Even though he desperately wanted to be. And, it's... I'm gonna keep Blake with Weiss.
Alright.
Just because she's very also middling. And she's like, I want to go fight terrorists right now. And it's like, Blake, you can't. You're a child.
But she was the terrorist.
Yeah, which is also a thing that needs to be kind of addressed at some point.
In a sense, it will.
Okay, good. Penny.
Penny's next. All right.
You are a tough one. We'll see where she goes, but for right now, we are.
So the tier of I don't know enough about this person.
Not even that. I just don't. Maybe, yeah, that'd be a good way to put it. But I also they did some good things with her. The whole aura thing is still making me like, maybe if they did that, but I don't know. Maybe she'll redeem herself. We shall see.
We will see.
You just, I don't like you. That no. God, at least John's character gave him like a few more flaws. This guy's literally supposed to be like the coolest kid on the block. But then also like Yang, when they're at the nightclub, like Yang makes him look like an idiot. She's like, let me handle this rookie. That's not what a cool guy would do. He wouldn't say anything in the first place.
Yeah, I think his characterization isn't consistent enough.
Yeah. Who's the girl in White's RWBY's mom, right?
Yeah, that's
I put
Summer
her
Rose.
here as a concept just because I don't know. I'm fucking curious about where you would put the concept of Ruby's dead mom.
That'd be interesting. Rate her just as a plot point and not a character.
That's basically what she is.
I would rate this as
All right, lit.
yeah, because it's dead mom coming back. Always, it's like, oh, drama. They haven't done anything with Yang's mom has done more. Speaking of which, fucking
Yeah, because I guess she hasn't done anything inherently good or bad yet. Dan has shared his opinion on her.
Yeah.
But you haven't really seen her do anything other than save Yang.
I'm gonna keep her in the mom tier.
The mom tier.
Right now, both moms are kind of meh. Let's see.
That's fair.
I'll be honest.
The only Team RWBY girl you haven't rated yet is Yang.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, hang on.
Alright.
Yeah, I like Yang. Yeah, Yang's also kind of, she's honest, where she's like, I just want to go around and see cool shit. It's like, do what makes you happy, girl. But then maybe she actually kind of learns how to find a purpose later, and then, maybe she, I don't know, matures, and I don't know, she's got places she can go.
Yeah, she's a good
to the
start
bottom of the
point
tier
for
list.
a character. Damn.
Yeah. Ooh, spice. Let's see.
Yeah, so there's some really minor characters that I threw in here just because this is when they'll probably be the most relevant.
Oh god.
Well, some will be relevant next season.
I mean, some will be, yeah.
This guy's just kind of cool.
All right. All right. I also like his design and powers.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Let's see.
He has not done enough yet for him to be shitty.
Yeah.
Or great, you know. We'll
Could
see.
be one, could be the other. Knowing RWBY, it's all we're all gonna see D and F tiers at one point.
Oh yeah. Fucking. Speaking of which, this guy looks like he should be managing a Staples, not the head of a nightclub. D tier.
All right.
Let's see.
Got 2 villains left.
Yeah, you got 2 villains, Glinda and Team Coffee.
And Team Coffee.
Yeah. I don't like you, but I also haven't seen anything. And I'm keeping her in C right now, but I have a very her personality is kind of, she's like the sarcastic one. But like, what does she want?
That's a good question.
Like,
It's an excellent question.
fucking, what are you doing with the terrorists? What do you get out of the? But she's not as insufferable as this asshole. But
All right.
so let's see. Glenda, you're just kind of a stick in the mud. You know, fixing the city after it gets destroyed. What if like we wanted to have a wild party and leave our mark on the world? Glenda would just come fix it, idiot. F tier. Fuck you.
Oh, so she hasn't moved.
Yeah. You know what? I won't. She had a little bit of characterization with the general
Ironwood.
boy. So I'll put her in D. I'll be merciful.
All right. Okay, now we just have the main villain of what we've seen so far, and Team Coffee, which is the team we really only saw at the end of the season.
Yeah, but I figured I'd throw them in because they had a scene.
That's true. I think I don't.
Yeah, the boys barely do talk.
Yeah, one's like a samurai archetype, so he doesn't speak, and the other I think is also doesn't speak at all for
they don't
like
really
reasons.
Do anything. They're like kind of cool. I'm honestly gonna put these two in C tier, just because.
Yeah, they had cool fight scenes. But...
Yeah, but they didn't. I don't know. This chick at least had the most personality, and then her. I think it's just because she has sunglasses, so that just makes me think, ooh, cool. But I don't know. I think I still have to. I'll keep her in C tier with them, but I'm also I'm curious to see where she goes because she at least seemed like she did the most. Even if it was like mid fight, she talked the most.
That's true.
And then
you have Velvet, the bunny girl, whose outfit you went on like a 15-minute rant about,
bro,
and Cinder.
They keep fucking this girl so hard plot wise, and they can't even dress her right. Putting her in A tier. Maybe they'll notice her. Just get this girl.
If they watch your video.
Oh my god, this girl needs some love. She's also the fact that she apparently watched half her crew get slaughtered. And then wasn't that a thing that happened in the supplementary stuff where like
in the supplementary Team Coffee book, like what they said is that like on that mission that they got back from this season, like they saw a ton of people die because they failed to fight off the Grimm.
And I like how when they asked her, it's like, what happened? She's like, nothing happened. There were just so many of them. I think half your team dying in front of you would constitute as something happening.
Well, it wasn't her team. It was like people that they were trying to like protect. I think it was an escort mission or something. Like they were escorting civilians.
That was still, I don't know. That scene, when you guys told me about that very much made me think that they retroactively, I don't know, like what actually happened on that trip was decided after the main show had aired.
Yeah,
yes. That's exactly what happened.
The case,
okay, because she's very nonchalant.
I think that they also wrote that scene in the Team Coffee book in an effort to address the Grimm aren't a serious threat thing, because supposedly that's a running theme in that book is like actual like consequences when that team is fighting the Grimm. So I think that they tried very hard to like
give people stakes.
Yeah.
But she's so nonchalant about it. She's like, there was just so many. And then
like, I can see how you could read that as someone being in shock, but that's not the impression that the line read gives off.
No.
It also presumably happens after way after the fact. So why you would be in shock still is kind of weird.
Yeah, and
I mean, then again, that would be pretty traumatizing.
Traumatizing, but not in the way it's presented.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just another one of those things that RWBY does that makes me stop talking about it and just question everything. But anyway, last girl on the list. Cinder. I actually don't know. She's not in F tier. I don't think she's in D tier. She at least... I don't know. I'm gonna say... Yeah.
Okay.
Well, there's a lot of people in this show.
Yeah, we got a very full C tier.
Yeah, a lot of people I just don't feel strongly about.
Yeah.
You know, surprisingly, my C tier is bigger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
My C tier has, I think, 2 more people in it than Steve's.
Yeah, I think that's one of Ruby's flaws as a show is that at least like in these early seasons especially, it adds more and more people to the cast
Uh-huh.
without really like fleshing some of them out.
That is not a problem unique to the first 3 seasons.
Well, yeah, it continues to happen.
That is a
but-
prevailing problem throughout the whole show. I think it gets worse after season 5.
Because these are a lot of fucking characters.
There will be more.
Yeah, I might like, and as characters just become irrelevant, I think I'll stop including them in the tier list. Like, I don't remember Carden being in Volume 3 even, so
He's
he'll
in the
probably just
background.
disappear. I'm probably just not even going to bother including him because there are other Volume 3 characters that have a bigger impact than he does.
Oh, man.
That's fair.
So some of these I might just kind of cut out
Uh-huh.
and only include when they're relevant to like that given volume.
Uh-huh.
But consequentially, that means that at least a few of these guys after Volume 3 are just going to completely disappear.
Big sad.
That's fine.
It'll be cleaner, though.
It'll keep the roster at a level where we can keep ranking things.
Yeah, so we... So the C tier isn't, you don't need to read the entire volume of books of C tier that we're gonna fill it up with.
Well, that was RWBY Volume 2.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'm excited for Volume 3. And
That's a surprise.
I am curious. I really love the fight scenes. I want to see more of those.
Yeah, I do
So-
too. That's why it kept drawing me back in.
Yeah, Volume 3 delivers on a lot of fight scenes.
Now, Steve, can I give you a bit of a foreshadow?
Okay.
Dan.
Volume 3 has both my favorite scene and favorite fight scene in it.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll guess which one.
There's no way you could guess.
Okay.
Okay, I was worried that you were going to like sprinkle some spoilers.
There's
but
so
that
many
statement is
spoilers
fine.
to put in that, and there's no way you would have no idea what I was about to say. No, it has my favorite fight scene and scene in the entire show.
I'll try to
in
guess
Volume
it
3.
during the next watch party.
It won't be hard. It won't be hard to tell. When we get there, I will be excited.
Nice.
All right.
All right, lads. So, I think that's a wrap.
I think that's a wrap. Good job, everyone.
Hell yeah.